Good evening, and welcome to our live stream sponsored by Wisdom Ways Center for Spirituality. Wisdom Ways is a ministry of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet in the St. Paul province. And we have been offering a series of live streams on spirituality and justice-related themes. So I love, this is one of my favorite parts of my job when I do these interviews, the live stream interviews. And we're so happy to have Sarina Partridge with us this evening for our conversation. So it's going to be some conversation, some singing, give a little teaser for that. But as we're beginning, let me introduce Sarina to you. She is a musician, song leader, educator, and activist in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She feels most alive when learning, creating, and sharing songs. Her role at Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light will focus on using community singing and song leading as a tool for engagement, embodiment, grounding, and connection. Sarina has a passion for helping people get in touch with their own creativity and with community, and uses singing as an embodied spiritual practice to help folks develop a sense of wonder, belonging, interdependence, and hope. Sarina has been a classroom educator for most of her adult life and brings a deep well of experience in community building to her facilitation of community singing. Sharing our singing voices is vulnerable. Well, I'm going to experience that tonight. And anytime we are sincerely vulnerable, there is a beautiful opportunity for growth, learning, and connection. This is true in an elementary school classroom, and at a protest, and within the walls of a congregation. Song is such a powerful medium, often transcending spoken language, when endless facts detailing the crises of our era can leave us overwhelmed and unmoved, unsure of how and where to act. Perhaps through singing, we can find our way back to being beautifully beholden to the whole, and motivated by our undeniable connection to fiercely protect our shared home, Earth. So I'm just super excited to have you with us this evening, Sarina, and just really want to explore your life and your story, what's brought you to this point. You know, we'll talk about some things that she's working on, some recent victories and successes, and really understand how singing as a spiritual practice can really help move us into justice spaces to take action. So, yeah, I don't know. Where do you want to start? How did you get to this, blessed work of using communal song and celebration to bring people together and
I love it.
activate them?
Well, thank you, and thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And I have always loved to sing just for fun, like many people. And when I was a teacher, I would find that singing was kind of the most efficient way to turn a group of kids into a community. Boom. It would just kind of elevate and connect. I wasn't a music teacher. I was a middle school science teacher for a bunch of years, and I would, be teaching things and use music because it worked really well. And then I taught mostly second grade, and just music was the most effective tool I had, both for helping kids learn and helping them feel like a family. And it worked so well that I wondered, maybe we could start our teacher-faculty meetings with singing. That was so effective.
Oh my gosh.
Then I thought, well, maybe we could start our family evenings with singing. That worked really well. And just noticing the ways that singing kind of instantly brought people's whole selves in. And I was very curious about that. And this might be a little bit roundabout, but we'll come back, I promise. But I connected with an organization that runs singing workshops in different parts of the world. studying vocal music, singing that's part of folk traditions in different places.
Wow.
In particular, in places that have a really strong tradition of harmony singing.
Okay.
And I found out about this organization, and I was just looking for something really cool to do in a summer. I saved up for a few summers and went on this trip to Corsica, which is like if you can picture the boot of Italy that's kicking Sicily. There's a couple more little islands. Anyways, they have a really long tradition of harmony singing. And I thought I was going there to learn some beautiful music, which I did. But mostly what impacted me was seeing a place where everybody sings in harmony.
Wow.
Some people are really amazing singers,
Yeah.
but everybody else sings also in 3-part harmony every day. You sing around the table. You sing when someone's sick. You sing when someone's going away on a trip. You sing because you're partying. You sing for a spiritual gathering. You sing at a wedding. Everybody sings, and it's just woven into the culture. Mm-hmm. And that really transformed something in me and switched the path of my life to wonder, why is it, if we're that species too,
Yeah.
why can't my community
Yeah.
sing in harmony?
Mm-hmm.
What's blocking us from connecting in that way? And what sort of power do we tap into when we sing together? And I've since, with that organization, gone to Basque Country in Spain, to the Republic of Georgia, Caucasus, Georgia. And last summer I went to South Africa to study Black South African choral music. And in all of those places, harmony singing is a tool of resistance, as well as a way for people to connect and celebrate and grieve. It's also a really powerful and very strategic way that organizers and activists move people and change structures that are not working and that are oppressive. And over the last couple of years, through those experiences, a fire has been lit in me. Like, we should be using harmony singing. It's not like I'm the first person who thought of using singing in social movements, not at all. And in the USA, there's an amazing long history of singing, community singing being a part of social movements, especially led by people of color and indigenous people. And we can reconnect with our movements and the singing that kind of helps us tap into something bigger than ourselves. So I got involved in a lot of faith-based climate organizing over the last few years. And with all of this learning that I'd been doing about singing as a part of social movements, I just would try to bring singing to different events and actions that I was at, and got asked to lead singing, and so was wondering, what are the songs that are right for these moments? Songs that are interesting enough to sing, that they're compelling, but not so challenging that people are really intimidated, because singing is very vulnerable. And if you want people to join in, you got to make it irresistible and not overwhelming.
Yes.
I wasn't always sure what's the right song for that, so I started writing a lot of music for that purpose, and bringing more and more of that into my activism work. And that's been thrilling. Like, there's nothing I could be more pumped about than getting people singing in service of work that really matters.
Yeah, so it sounds like you saw how music was woven into the culture in Corsica, and you just sort of did that in your own life.
Well,
really.
I'm trying.
And you're continuing
We're working on it.
Well, but to even have the role at, Interfaith Power and Light now, that to be doing that full time and to have gone through that transition to where that can really be a focus
Yeah.
for you and in a new way.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, would you all like to hear a song? Should we intersperse a song?
Yes.
That would be great.
Yes.
So, we'll sing and then we'll talk about more things.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I love to lead songs that are really easy to connect with and plug into. So I thought I would start with a really simple welcoming song that I like to lead. And I do, and we'll probably get into this more later, but I do a lot of climate justice work, and encountering our current climate crisis is just so overwhelming. Can be really disempowering or feel really isolating. And I do think a piece of my climate organizing work is like, how do I help people bring all of that in and allow space for climate grief as well as anger, frustration. I think sometimes organizers, and I've done this too, you want to focus on the positive, but things are actually hard, and people need a space and a way to be able to express what's painful and hard and makes them angry, and feel that is welcome. And I actually think it's pretty essential to experience the full palette of emotions. Anyways, so I like to start with this song that lets people kind of welcome in whatever shape their heart is in the moment.
Perfect.
So it's a little call and response, and then we can change the words.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Okay.
So I'm feeling really open-hearted today, so I'm going to start with the word open.
Okay.
And if you're at home, you can sing along on the response.
Yes.
We'll hear you in our, I don't know, some
hearts,
extra
in our
sense.
hearts. Well, yeah.
Okay, let's give it a try.
Okay.
Sounds like this. Welcome in, welcome in, open hearts, open hearts. Welcome in, welcome in, open hearts, open hearts. Welcome in, welcome in, open hearts, open hearts. You sound fabulous, by the way. And now here's the part where we sing together. We sing, we will sing our way to wholeness. Let's try it together. We will sing our way to wholeness. And then we sing that again.
Okay.
We will sing our way to wholeness. So how's your heart?
Woo.
Because then we can sing about that.
Oh, it's joyful.
Then let's welcome
Joy.
in the joyful hearts.
Yeah.
This time you're going to be on your own for the response. You got
I'll
this.
try.
You got this.
Okay.
Welcome in.
Welcome in.
Joyful hearts.
Joyful hearts.
Welcome in.
Welcome in.
Joyful hearts.
Joyful hearts.
Welcome in.
Welcome in.
Joyful hearts.
Joyful
Then together,
hearts.
we will sing our way to wholeness. We will sing our way to wholeness. Beautiful.
Awesome.
Thank you for singing with me.
Yeah. And if you're watching this at home, put your heart description into the chat maybe.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
And I love
Where's your heart?
starting with a question like that because you can't get it wrong. How are you doing? Can't get it wrong. You're just telling us how you are.
Yeah.
And I've sung that with groups sometimes throughout a climate justice event. There's kind of a way for us to check in without talking.
Right.
But in this kind
Yes.
of beyond language, heart-connected way.
Yes.
How we're absorbing things.
Yep. Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you sang with me. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's fun. It's fun. So I'm also super excited, and the timing of this live stream interview, I don't know if Danielle, when you are scheduling this was intentional, but I'm just super excited because Sarina has just released an album on
true.
Spotify.
That's true.
And so, I don't know, I just want to hear more about that. I don't know anything related to how that came about, maybe your writing process. Yeah,
Totally.
any specific song you want to focus on? I don't know, something.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah.
that question. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just released my first album that I've ever made on this past Sunday. It's out in the world. And that album, which is called Songs to Reroute and Remember, is all about songs to connect us to the ground that we stand on and to each other. So those are songs that I've been writing just over the past couple of years in wild places. That's kind of the theme. So
Okay. Yeah.
part of how I love to write music is to go be in the natural world. And there's just so much wisdom there. If I can just get myself to sit still and pay attention, you know? And actually the concept of the album, I don't know that this would necessarily come across in a listen, but it might, was really connected with Jewish organizing that I have been doing around connecting to place and what it means to live in the United States as a person in diaspora without really ancestral place to return to, and how do I live rightly in the United States on indigenous land, and how do Jewish people wrestle with living rightly on land and not continuing cycles of oppression and extraction and land theft, which is happening in the world, and I don't want it done in my name. So how do I wrestle with those questions of reconnecting to place in a more healed way? And song is so helpful for me to shift my relationship with place and really pay attention to where I am and the wisdom that's there. So I've been writing these songs for the last few years and leading different community song circles, often with a lot of other Jewish people who are exploring those questions as well. And then I applied for this grant through the American Composers Forum to record an album, and I could not believe that I got it and was able to record this album, which was really a dream come true and a lot of work, but also a dream come true. So I'm very proud of it. And I think one of my biggest delights in sharing this album with friends and community and neighbors and people I don't know as well is that people are singing along with it. A lot of the songs are really simple.
Yes.
And I've used many of these songs at political actions and rallies and protests. And I want them to be really easy to remember and kind of put in your pocket to take with you and be useful to you. I think that's the work that the songs are supposed to do in the world, and I feel like that is how people are using them. I'm not particularly interested these days in performance. I'm more interested in music that does a community job, which isn't to say that performance music isn't valuable. It is, but what I feel really inspired about right now is music in service of community and in service of the movements that I care about.
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're creating an art that activates people, right? In terms of the singing itself, And then it's like a double creation too of the community that's formed. And so you're really, and this is something I think about in terms of work that I've done professionally. It's not only about whatever the reflection or the writing or the theology. It's like how it matters and how it changes people and how it creates new ways of being, really. I don't know if you've come across this. One of the things that strikes me is that I could imagine you using even just that first song that we sang at some gathering, and someone comes up with Frozen. Like, I feel a frozen heart, right? And then as you're even singing that, like, it just starts to open. And singing really has, I don't know if this has come across in any of the work you've done, but singing itself, and I feel like it's sort of, it's undervalued / neglected maybe in like trauma healing spaces. In the trauma healing circles that I've been running in, they haven't been talking about singing and music as much as I think they should be.
Well, let's talk about that.
You tell me what I am all about that. Yeah.
Well, and like, music therapy is this whole world, and I am not licensed to say that the music that I lead, the singing that I lead, is therapy. It's not. But I do feel like it's therapeutic, at least for me. I can speak to my own experience. I find that singing, especially not just singing alone, but singing with a group of people, lets me feel like, wow, I am a part of something bigger than myself, but this bigger thing needs me. And if I stop singing, everybody notices. It's okay, but like, I'm actually needed here. And so is this person. And so is this person who's like singing all kinds of wacky notes. Like, there's space for them too. I feel like group singing lets us experience in an embodied way this kind of heady concept of the individual reflected in the community and the community reflected in the individual. Singing for me is like, oh, I get it. Not just blah, blah, blah. People say that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I also find that singing, like, sometimes I have a really slippery mind, is how I think of it, that's like so adept at shying away from discomfort and avoiding things that are painful, or just like quickly wanting to put a positive spin on and steer away from. And if I'm singing a song about grief, for example, which I do a lot of the time, at least I know that for 5 minutes, I really sat with my grief. And if I did that in a room full of people, also for 5 minutes, sitting with our grief together, not talking about it head to head, but kind of being in our whole bodies with it together, that shifts things for me. And it doesn't shift things like, oh, now I'm over it. I don't feel climate grief anymore. But it's like, oh, that is welcome in my community. That's part of how we survive. And that feels pretty transformative to me. And there's tons of research and science about
it's all there.
Blah, 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 which, like, there. Thank you, science, for telling us
what we know intuitively and what we...
Right.
But yeah, sometimes you need that science to be like, hey, this is why this works, for people to really get it. Yeah.
And I've been really inspired. I just think this is so cool. I met these song leaders in England when I was traveling there in 2019, who were on this project mission to get community singing to be a prescribable healthcare line item that was covered by health insurance. And I was like, that is a great idea.
Oh my gosh.
And they succeeded. specifically focusing on new parents who've just given birth, and it can be such an isolating time, overwhelming, and there's lots of services for your infant, but there's not a ton of supportive activities for the parent, especially the birthing parent. And I've started to have people, because I lead community choirs and seasonal singing events, I've started to have people coming to my events telling me that their mental health therapist told them to find a community sing, which I'm like, it's happening!
Yay.
So I feel like this shift in the culture that I'm in South Minneapolis, where, you know, like maybe 20 years ago, people thought that massage was like so out there and woo-woo, and now people are more like, no, that actually is healing.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to get to a place where, and maybe we already are, where community singing is thought of as a healing modality, which from my experience, it certainly is. And that's really exciting to me, especially to apply that in my activism and movement work, where I think it's really needed.
Yeah. So maybe one more question, then maybe another song. But as you were describing this experience, what I was imagining in a group experience is sort of the concept of how you're like attuning, right? And so there's the sense of like attunement, but then also how that impacts the way you receive each other and sort of listen to each other. And it made me also think of like how you're attuned when you're out writing and you're listening to what is the natural world telling me. And so maybe just if you have anything else you want to say about singing in general as a spiritual practice for you, and if it's specifically from the Jewish tradition too, if that's how it inspires you.
Yeah. Well, a big piece of my own spiritual practice is how can I be a deeper listener, and think of all beings and all encounters as like an opportunity to learn, which is pretty core to how my Jewishness works. Everybody gets their own read, but there's a lot of emphasis on always learning and always questioning and always kind of, you think you understand it, then it's time to turn it upside down, is very much at the heart of how I study my faith tradition. And I find that trying to be really present with the natural world is a great way for me to practice that. And I guess something that I feel in nature is like I'm among my elders, whether it's the water or the rocks or the oak trees. Those are my ancestors too, and I try to connect with them. And my human ancestors are not physically very close to me. I didn't grow up in Minnesota. None of them are here in this place, but I do feel like I can connect with them through the natural world. And I think another big piece of my faith tradition is we have this whole cycle of holidays that move us through the wheel of the year, which that's a part of what faith helps us do. Just in general, is be present with the wheel of the year and reflect. And I find a lot of grounding in like, oh, it's Rosh Hashanah, it's the new year, it's the time of harvest. What am I harvesting?
Those themes.
What am I shedding? how am I moving into this next phase of my life? Oh, it's Yom Kippur. It's the day of repentance. Like, oh,
Yeah, ouch.
let's get real. Okay.
Yeah.
And really living with a real calendar through the Jewish holidays is very helpful for me. And a piece of my faith tradition also is a long history of amazing anti-capitalist activism, which is not religious, but is a big part of my faith practice, is how do we take care of each other on earth? It's interesting, Jewish people, we don't have a hell.
Right.
The heaven, it's a little unclear. So the emphasis in Judaism is you're building the world to come right where you are. So how are you going to do that? How are you building? And the way I interpret it is, how am I, in the short time that I have on earth, building the world that everybody deserves now? Because this might be it. And to me, that's very empowering rather than disempowering, and puts a little bit of a fire under me to use the time that I have, use the gifts that I have to serve my community. And yeah, that's a big honor.
Yeah. I love that. I love too, in terms of how this focus on the listening. For us, this really ties what you're saying with the mission of Wisdom Ways, because our vision statement is moving people from deep inner listening, into actions on behalf of building a better world.
Amen.
And so I love that you're basically an expression of our vision statement in the flesh.
Let's do this.
Yeah. So, should we sing again?
We should sing again. We should sing again. Yeah. So this one is a little wordier. So if it's overwhelming, you can just snap along. Don't fret. Okay. But I got involved with the organization Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light, mostly around their fight against the Line 3 pipeline being built in northern Minnesota. And I was just really inspired by all of these faithy people, including me, following indigenous leadership in the state of Minnesota, and that being the organization's kind of party line, was where this is what we do.
Yes, exactly.
These are the people doing the most radical climate justice work, and that is still true.
Yeah. Great.
And I was really moved by events that I went to up at the headwaters of the Mississippi, and prayer circles that were being led by water protectors up there. And there was a big water walk. Maybe this was in 2020 or 2021. That was a walk all the way from the headwaters of the Mississippi in Lake Itasca State Park, way up there in Minnesota, to the Capitol building in St. Paul. I did not do the whole walk.
Okay.
I would be cooler if I had, but they invited people to join for the last bit of the walk, the last few miles, and then there was a big event at the Capitol. And I'm a loud person. I am an exuberant person. You probably have perceived this, but so I rolled up to this protest on my bike. I had my sign. I'm ready to shout and sing, and I'm like about to jump into this huge crowd of thousands of people, and someone was like, "Hey, heads up, this is a silent walk." And I was like,
okay.
Gotcha. And I was like, what is this going to be like? A protest march where nobody's singing or talking or chanting? Like, how is this going to work? But it was so powerful to have thousands of people united in this prayerful intention silently. It was like all this water behind a big dam, and you're like, whoa, that's powerful. And so I was walking, like feeling all of it. And this song came to me and I was like, how am I going to remember this song? I can't sing it.
Oh my God.
So I was walking along, just like paying attention, but also don't forget this song. And we got to the Capitol and I was like, I'll be right back. Ran away, sang the song. Okay, now I'll remember it. But that's this song that I would love to sing with you.
So you don't pull out like your phone and record it, or no?
I didn't.
You don't have to, maybe.
At that point, I had walked for like 3 miles silently,
singing
it to myself.
Okay.
So it's in there deep.
Yeah.
But the idea of it is, what if we made every step a prayer? And what if we made every seed that we plant a prayer? And that was how we built our prayerful strength, which was inspired by that moment. But I'll sing you the whole thing, and then we can break it down into little pieces.
Okay.
It sounds like this. We walk, 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 every step a prayer, and we're building strength, growing stronger than ever. We walk, 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 every step a prayer, and we're walking to heal this land. Yes, we're walking to heal this land. And then you can change it like, we sing, 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 every song a prayer, etc. But let's try it with walk.
So I've heard this used before, and I don't think it was at the conference you did last year, but even in another context. And I was like, I need to make sure that person knows.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, giving you creds.
Oh, well, I want the songs to go do their, do your work.
Awesome.
Get busy.
Okay.
Okay, then great, you're a ringer. It sounds like this. We walk, 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 every step a prayer. Let's do that again. We walk, 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 every step a prayer. Let's do that again. We walk, 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 every step a prayer. And we're building strength. Let's sing that. And we're building strength, growing stronger than ever. Growing stronger than ever. Oh, you sound so good. We walk, walk, walk. Let's sing that. We walk, 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 every step a prayer. And we're building strength, growing stronger than ever. We walk, 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 every step a prayer. And then it ends with, and we're walking to heal this land. Let's try that. And we're walking to heal this land. Yes, we're walking to heal this land. Beautiful.
Yay.
And then we can think about, what else can we do in our lives that can be done in a prayerful way? What do you think?
Oh my gosh. I mean, we could just do loving.
We love, 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 our love a prayer. So we'll do, we love, 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 our love a prayer, ba, 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 and we're loving to heal this land. Okay. So I'll help you with how you plug it in.
Okay.
Here we go. We love, 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 our love a prayer, and we're building strength, growing stronger than ever. We love, 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 our love up, and we're loving, and we're loving to heal this land. Yes, we're loving to heal this land.
I don't know.
And you see, we just wrote a song together.
I know. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I love the community act of creating a song together, where everybody's ideas actually are welcome, because I think everybody's ideas actually are really needed. And it can be really powerful to have an idea in a group and be like, can we do love? And then the whole group is like, we've got you. And I think movements need more chances for people to experience that. Like, my idea got slurped up by the group and celebrated.
Yeah, my voice matters. I'm seen, heard, noticed,
Yeah.
and I matter. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
too, through this last handful of years in Minneapolis, through the murder of George Floyd, the uprising, many things, I've been thinking a lot about how, as a white person, am I showing up in movement work, and what is keeping white people like me from showing up as their fullest selves and deconstructing the white supremacy and patriarchy stuff that's like just got its claws in all of us in some way.
Yep.
And one thing that I think a lot about, like, this is not like Sarina's genius idea, but meaning many other brilliant people thought of this a long time before me, but I think a lot about how perfectionism keeps people from participating, especially white people, in social movements like, I don't know enough to join this movement, or I'm not cool enough. I don't know exactly what this action is going to be like, so I'm going to stay home, or I'm worried about saying the wrong thing, so I'm going to be silent. So, like, how do we give ourselves some chances to counter that narrative? And I do feel like non-performative arts are a really great way to practice downplaying that perfectionist stuff that keeps us from being as alive as we want to be and deserve to be and should be and need to be. So if I can get a group of people singing and manage to convince them that it's not about performance, it's not about perfection, and wow, like what did we experience because we just participated? We experienced some joy, some connection. We built relationships. We got to be vulnerable in public, and it didn't destroy us. This is great news because we need to be able to do those things to show up for the causes that we care about.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of fear from people who are white. It's not, our experience. We have a completely different experience. And so I feel like the more that we learn and just engage and seeing it as a practice or sort of, something that we continue to engage in at whatever level, we're going to keep growing. Just like thinking about your time in Corsica, whatever. You go into this completely different environment, right? And you have to lean into what is the culture, what is the experience of the people. And it takes time to sort of learn it and sense how you fit in and how you can best support what's there. And at the same time, when we're talking about things like white supremacy, it's also like, as we're learning about ourselves, catching ourselves interiorly when we're perhaps preventing ourselves from bringing our fullest self for some reason. And even like that awareness, to me, is a spiritual practice. As a white woman who, I was married to a Cuban for 24 years. I have 4 adult children who are, bicultural and lived abroad and had a variety of different experiences. But for me too, it's really finding ways like this where you can open up authentically and vulnerability and be present to others. That's where relationship starts to be built. And that's when you're really going to start to care about, we want to fight systemic racism at the systemic level, or the environmental issues at the systemic level. But we also only understand the complexity of the impact of those issues, I think, sometimes by really closely knowing people who are deeply impacted by it. And I just love that singing is such if those feelings for people who are white is whatever fear, whatever words we use to describe them, is prickly, right? It's almost like attuning that prickliness or that discomfort, whatever it is, through our voices, and then co-creating something new.
Yeah.
With people, and
Preach.
It does change. It changes. It changes people.
Yeah.
Right, and we change people and systems, I think.
Totally.
In the work that we're doing. So, do you want to say anything more about the situation around climate justice in Minnesota, in particular, at this point?
Totally. Well, the thing about, I guess this is true of all issues, is they're just all connected. And I pay a lot of attention to what's going on really locally to me and more broadly in the state. And of course that connects with the country and that connects with the whole world. And one really local project that is happening with Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light is exploring what's the relationship between climate activism and reparations, and how are we as people of faith going to take on this next chapter of understanding and moving towards action with reparations. And all the faith traditions that I've encountered have a big emphasis on repair and gratitude and work that heals the world. And that's, for Jewish people like me, that's like one of our central responsibilities as Jews, is to practice tikkun olam, which is the healing of the world. Like that's everybody's responsibility. And you're not going to finish. But that doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yes.
And I feel like that orientation is very helpful to me with confronting the climate crisis, because we're not going to finish it in our lifetimes. But that doesn't mean we're absolved of responsibility. So MNIPL, Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light, is running this whole series on people of faith exploring reparations work in Minnesota to
wonderful.
Descendants of slavery who live here and to indigenous people who live here. And I'm really excited about that. This is something I've been really inspired to explore. I've seen faith groups in different parts of the world and different parts of the country kind of engage in a voluntary land tax in relationship with an indigenous leadership group, and make that a part of their congregation or their multiple congregations' spiritual work, which is pretty in line with a lot of congregations do some kind of a tithing or charitable giving or something together. But how can people of faith in Minnesota start getting on board with programs of reparations? What does that mean? Who do we give to?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you decide?
How much? Yeah,
how much?
How frequently, like what?
But I just keep coming back to this thing of like, if we don't act because we're afraid of doing it wrong, that's not the way. So I'm excited that MNIPL is, I think, really leading the way in getting people of faith to decide together what reparations are going to look like in their faith communities. I'm pumped about it.
That's awesome. That's great. And so really it sounds like MNIPL is really addressing, it is addressing the climate question, but in a way that's integrated and is going to have broader impact if you're looking at reparations around slavery, some of the other issues too.
That's the hope, because it's all, this shifting the way that we relate to the earth and relate to our human communities so that we're not extracting, using up, destroying, polluting. That's all climate justice work.
Right.
And there's There's a lot of excitement in the state of Minnesota right now because of how our House and governor and Senate is right now, that a lot of legislative work is possible. And so people are very excited to kind of think with the future in mind of what are we giving to the next generation of Minnesotans, and can we work to make it a more interdependent future, less extractive future with healthier communities. And I think we can. And I think that people of faith can be this like really, I think of it as sort of a fierce, cutting beam, a voice of moral clarity. I'm not saying people of faith have always been that, but we can be. And I think we're really needed at the table to listen and learn, and also act from a place of conscience for our relatives, human and non-human. And I'm excited about that. That's where my faith is feeling really alive right now.
Oh my gosh. I feel it. I feel it in my heart. So for the people who are, watching this live or maybe viewing this at a later time, what are just a few sort of recommendations that you might have for them if they want to start to take practical action right now in terms of, climate justice, or especially around Indigenous and Black reparations, those types of things?
Awesome.
What do you recommend?
Totally. Yeah. Well, we are running this online learning lab series that's all about exploring reparations. So come learn with us at MNIPL. The idea is, let's explore questions together and figure out how we're going to support each other in moving towards action. Kind of the model of MNIPL is someone comes from a faith community, interacts with us, we're kind of a learning hub, and then they go back to their own faith community and help organize based on what's important to their faith community. So come to our reparations learning labs. You can register for free on our website. Of course, if you want to donate and support the work of MNIPL, 2 thumbs up. But we just want people to come and access that learning space together. And also, we are always looking to connect with people in faith communities to just have one-to-one conversations about what people want to work on. A lot of MNIPL's work has been really nitty-gritty kind of building stuff, like, you want to get solar panels, you want to switch to compostable plates and stuff, you want to build a rain garden. Well, MNIPL can help you figure out the steps to do that. We'll we partner with a couple solar companies locally so that we can help people get really good deals and navigate all the Inflation Reduction Act rebates that you can get right now. And we also are doing a lot of legislative work. So we're organizing people to meet with their representatives and tell them what they care about and what projects really matter to them. So those are some ways you can get involved. And also a project that I've started with MNIPL is this program called Voices for Climate, which is a monthly community sing that is hosted by different faith communities every time all over the state of Minnesota. So I really want to push MNIPL to actually be more interfaith rather than kind of intra-faith, I guess.
Like one specific faith at a time.
Right, or even one congregation's projects. I want to get people into each other's places of worship in a way that feels really welcoming. So I've been I have a Voices for Climate sing this weekend in where will I be? St. Louis Park. I had one in August in Grand Marais. And just kind of using singing as a way to connect people who might not otherwise interact and lead some conversation time around what is important for us in climate justice as people of faith, and what are we going to do about it. And one of my most powerful climate activism teachers is, she doesn't know I exist, but in case you're watching this, Robin Wall Kimmerer, this one's for you.
Yeah, we'll can send the link. Someone send her the link.
But I love that a teaching that I've really taken to heart from her writing of Braiding Sweetgrass and other books is that part of the climate crisis is this crisis of disconnection. I feel like we are in a deep crisis of disconnection from ourselves often, from each other, from a neighbor with a different political affiliation, but also a disconnection from place. We're so mobile, we're so enwalled, that's not really a word. It's easy to feel like we don't belong in the wild natural world. And a piece of advice that she gives is, if you want to cultivate a sense of responsibility to place, which is essential for meeting this climate crisis moment, if you want to cultivate a sense of responsibility, focus on cultivating a sense of belonging. So what I tell people is, I think one of the most important things we can do for the climate is to cultivate our sense of belonging to the earth.
Yes.
Spend time with the water.
Yeah.
Spend time with the trees. Remember why you care, because there is a lot of despair as the climate changes. It's reasonable to feel that way, but it's not strategic. Cultivating a sense of belonging is really strategic, and it's fun. We need that. So don't forget why you love the natural world.
And we are the natural world. We're creatures.
Right. To kind of
We are,
bust that
we are
myth
part
of separation.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, that's a great image. Do you think we have time for one more little song?
I always think we have time for one more little song.
We'll do one more song.
Oh, good. So this little song came to me as I was on my way to a Public Utilities Commission meeting, which I don't know if you've ever been to one of those, but wow.
Yeah, no, my daughter I think has. But
they really make you want to bang your head against the wall. This was pushing Xcel Energy to follow through on their climate promises, which it's a big, long fight. And I felt like, I just need a song to remind me what we're going to do when we win. You know, it's like, we have to win this fight. We have to pass this legislation. Why? Like, why are we pushing so hard? And it came to me that actually the only purpose is to take better care of each other. That's basically it, for me anyways. And I needed that reminder. I feel like often songs are like, it's not like, I've figured this out and I wrote a song about it.
Yeah.
I'm a genius. It's more like, no, I'm really struggling.
You need this.
I need
this song. Yeah.
So this was one of those songs.
Okay.
And it's call, response, then something together, which I love to do with groups. So see if you can follow me. I think you got this.
Okay.
Sounds like this. Who's got the power? Who's got the power? We've got the power. We've got the power. Who's got the power? Who's got the power? We've got the power. We've got the power. And what do we do when? What do we do when we've got the power? We've got the power. And then we sing together. We take care of each other. Let's try that together. We take care of each other. And then since I knew I was going to talk with these Excel executives, my sort
I
of
love this.
inner second grade teacher came out. And so it was like, we take care of each other. Yes, we do. We take care of each other. Yes, we do. We take care of each other. And then you can add in different words, like who's got the power? Okay, what else do we have that makes us so strong? Who's got what do you think?
The peace.
Who's got the peace?
Who's got the peace?
Yeah, we've got the peace.
We've got the peace.
Who's got the peace? Who's got the peace? We've got the peace.
We've got the peace.
And what do we do when?
What do we do when?
We've got the peace?
We've got the peace.
We take care of each other. Yes, we do. We take care of each other.
Oh, awesome. I love this. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone who joined us on this live stream. You will find Sarina's links in the description. So just go on and contact her, invite her into your communities. Listen to her album on Spotify. And I will also give a little plug. We have coming up at Wisdom Ways as a part of our series, the Hedgerow Institute. We're doing a read of a book entitled All We Can Save, which is an anthology of small pieces by women around the climate crisis. And so we're going to be doing some exploration of that, and then having some speakers in around that as well. So we'll keep trudging away and making some progress on this, building community around it. And I just love it, how Sarina is this lovely example of the intersection and expression of spirituality and justice in our world. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much for having
appreciate
me. I really have had a lovely time
Thank
talking
you.
with you and singing with you.
Yay! We sang.
Cool.
Was that fun? That was so fun. I don't think